In a village where reputation is everything and secrets are buried deep, one woman crossed a line no one ever imagined. She wasn't a criminal. She wasn't reckless. She was a devoted wife, or at least that's what everyone thought. But what drives a housewife to risk everything for a forbidden touch? What begins as stolen glances and whispered lies soon leads to a dinner that never should have happened, and a disappearance no one can explain. By the time the truth surfaced, it was soaked in betrayal, smeared with guilt, and far too late to undo. Was this passion or premeditation? A secret relationship, a poisoned meal, a missing husband, and at the center of it all, Indira, the woman no one suspected. Was she manipulated into a deadly trap? Or did she play everyone to get exactly what she wanted? Neighbors say she smiled like nothing was wrong, cooked dinner like she always did, played with her children as if her world wasn't about to shatter. But behind that smile was a secret eating away at everything. Her marriage, her sanity, her soul. The man she shared a home with was about to vanish, and the man she shared her heart with, he wasn't just watching, he was helping. One night, one decision, and a body no one was meant to find. This isn't just a story about murder, it's about love twisted into something monstrous. It's about choices we think we'll never make, until the moment we do. Was Indira a pawn in someone else's game, or was she always in control? Welcome to True Crime Family Stories, where we dive deep into chilling cases, unsolved crimes, and the dark side of human experience. Join us as we uncover hidden truths and explore the twisted corners of the criminal world. Thanks to our loyal viewers and subscribers for your support. We're grateful for your likes, comments, and subscriptions, which help us share these shocking stories and unravel mysteries that impact our lives. Subscribe and join our growing community to stay updated on gripping cases. Let's get started. Tucked deep within northern India lies a village untouched by time, where the rhythm of life beats to age-old traditions, and family honor is worth more than truth itself. Here, whispers travel faster than the wind, and every action is judged through the eyes of generations past. Women are expected to be dutiful wives, obedient daughters-in-law, and nurturing mothers. Personal happiness is a silent luxury, often sacrificed at the altar of social expectations. Indira, 28, knew her role well. She was married to Prakash, a man chosen for her, not by love but by family arrangement. Their union was celebrated with pomp, rituals, and blessings from elders. But behind the ceremonial fireworks, there was no spark between them. Prakash was practical, emotionally withdrawn, and obsessed with his work at the local factory. He provided for his family but never connected with them, never truly saw her. Their home was quiet but not peaceful. Conversations were reduced to logistics, groceries, children, bills. Affection was rare, intimacy even rarer. Years passed, and with them, Indira's hopes of a marriage filled with warmth and laughter began to wither. She wasn't unhappy in the dramatic sense. There were no fights, no screaming matches, just a slow, crushing emptiness that settled into her bones. A life measured in routines. Waking before sunrise, cooking 3 meals, caring for the children, folding clothes, waiting. In moments of stillness, she caught herself staring out the window, watching couples pass by, wondering if they too lived in such silence. Her heart ached not for luxury or adventure, but for a simple connection. Someone to listen, someone to care, someone to make her feel like more than just a fixture in the household. That quiet yearning festered. And as the days blended into months, that emptiness began to crave something dangerous. Something forbidden. Ravi was everything Prakash was not. Where Prakash was quiet and methodical, Ravi was lively and expressive. His laughter filled the room, his presence softened the air. At 32, he carried himself with an easy confidence, a man who moved through life unburdened by duty or tradition. He worked odd jobs in nearby towns, never settling for long, often drifting in and out of the village. But whenever he returned, the house felt less like a prison and more like a place that breathed. To Indira, Ravi wasn't just her husband's younger brother. He was a break in the monotony. He noticed when she wore a new sari. He complimented her cooking. He asked about her day, not out of politeness, but with genuine curiosity. Their conversations began in the open, in the kitchen while she kneaded dough, or outside as he played with the children. Innocent, harmless. But soon the glances lingered a little longer. The smiles held a trace of something unsaid. He'd tease her gently, and she'd respond with laughter that felt unfamiliar, light, unburdened. It had been years since anyone had made her feel like a woman instead of a wife, a mother, a caretaker. The first time their hands brushed, it was accidental. But the second time, it wasn't. What followed was a slow dance of temptation and denial. Late-night texts under the blanket, chore excuses to spend time together, a shared silence that crackled with tension. Each moment fed a hunger they didn't dare name out loud, but neither of them wanted to stop. They told themselves it wasn't wrong. Not really. Prakash didn't love her. Not the way a woman deserved to be loved. And Ravi? He had always felt like the one who understood her, who truly saw her. In whispered moments, Ravi would say, "We were meant to find each other." And Indira clung to those words like a lifeline. It wasn't just an affair. It felt like a second chance at life. Their stolen moments became bolder, more reckless. What began as occasional glances and hushed words soon bloomed into a dangerous rhythm of secret rendezvous. Ravi started visiting the house even when Prakash was expected home early. Indira would fake headaches to send the children outside while Ravi slipped in through the back. They met in abandoned sheds on the edge of the village. Sometimes just touching hands under the table was enough. Other times, they risked everything for just a few minutes alone. Their passion blinded them to the danger of discovery. But the village was watching. In a place where everyone knew everyone, privacy was a myth. Eyes lingered. Tongues wagged. Neighbors noticed Ravi's frequent visits and the long, whispered conversations in the courtyard. A grocer remarked how often Ravi bought gifts, bangles, scarves, even sweets Indira liked. An elderly woman muttered about how shame creeps in through smiles and stolen glances. Rumors turned into whispers. Whispers turned into warnings. Prakash at first dismissed them. His mind was buried in factory shifts, overtime hours, and aching muscles. He believed his wife to be dutiful, his brother to be loyal. But something shifted. He began returning home unannounced. His eyes lingered longer on his wife. He started checking her phone when she was in the kitchen, and then, one night, he found it. A forgotten message thread left open. There were no explicit photos, no declarations of love. Just enough. Phrases like, "Miss you already," and "I couldn't breathe until I saw you again." The words sliced through him. His hands trembled. The walls around him seemed to close in, suffocating. He read every word, every emoji, every timestamp. There was no denying it. His wife and his own brother had betrayed him. Prakash confronted Indira the moment she stepped into the room. His voice cracked. Not with rage at first, but disbelief. "Tell me this isn't true." Indira's instinct was to deny. She reached for excuses, called it a misunderstanding. But the lie fell apart under his stare. Something in his eyes, betrayal, disgust, heartbreak, forced the truth from her lips. She collapsed into tears. She begged. She said it was a mistake, that she had been lonely, that she didn't know what she was doing. But Prakash wasn't listening. Something inside him had snapped. Absolutely. You were never home. You never saw me. You think that justifies this? He spat. My own brother? He stormed out before she could respond. An hour later, Ravi arrived, summoned, unaware of what waited behind the door. He stepped in with his usual swagger, but Prakash was already there, eyes blazing, fists clenched. You disgust me, Prakash said, walking up to him chest to chest. Ravi looked between his brother and Indira, then down at the broken phone screen. The truth was laid bare. He didn't deny it. Listen, I didn't mean for this to happen. Didn't mean? Prakash laughed bitterly. You're a coward, a thief. You took what wasn't yours. The shouting escalated, echoing down the narrow lanes outside. Neighbors peeked from windows. Accusations flew. Prakash shoved Ravi. Ravi shoved back. Indira stood between them, sobbing, trying to stop what couldn't be undone. You've shamed this family, Prakash yelled. You've dragged us through filth. I'll tell everyone, our parents, the village. You'll both burn for this. The threat hung in the air like smoke. For the first time, fear flickered across Ravi's face. Indira pulled at Prakash's arm, begging him to reconsider. Don't ruin everything, please. Don't do this to our children. But his mind was made up. He would expose them, shame them, cut ties with both. And in that moment, with all three standing under the same roof, hearts pounding, trust shattered, futures teetering on the edge, the seeds of something darker began to take root. Ravi's voice was quiet but firm, as if he'd already made peace with the horror of what he was about to suggest. He's not going to let this go, Indira, he said. You heard him. He'll shame us. Shame you. Ruin everything. It's us or him. She stared at him, frozen, her hands trembling on her lap. The words didn't sound real. Not yet. You're talking about your own brother. Ravi didn't flinch. A brother who's ready to destroy both our lives. You think he'll stop at public humiliation? He'll take your children, Indira. You'll lose everything. Her heart raced. Every warning bell in her body screamed to run. But there was nowhere to go. Her marriage was broken, her affair exposed, her name already half buried in whispers across the village. And now, the man who once swore to love her forever was threatening to drag her through hell. How? She whispered. That one word, soft, breathless, sealed her fate. They plotted over hushed conversations, late at night, once the children had gone to sleep. The plan was simple, cold, measured. Prakash would be invited to dinner under the pretense of reconciliation. Indira would cook his favorite dishes, spiced lentils, basmati rice, fried okra, and lace his glass of milk with a heavy dose of sleeping pills. When he was unconscious, Ravi would finish it. The night came faster than either of them expected. Indira moved like a ghost in her own kitchen, her hands robotic, eyes glassy. Her heart pounded so loudly she feared it might wake the dead. She stirred the food, plated the dishes, crushed the pills into a fine powder and mixed them carefully into the milk. Prakash arrived just after sunset. He was wary but tired, emotionally drained from days of fighting and shame. He sat down without a word. Indira served the food, silent but composed, as Ravi watched from the shadows of the hallway. Prakash ate slowly. Halfway through the meal, his eyes began to droop. His words slurred. A minute later, his head hit the table with a dull thud. Indira's breath caught in her throat. Ravi stepped into the room. Without speaking, he pulled a length of electric wire from his coat pocket. Indira turned away, her stomach churning, her eyes filled with tears. But she didn't stop him. The struggle was brief. Prakash barely stirred. The wire tightened. Ravi's face was expressionless. No rage, no regret. Just silence and then stillness. When it was over, Indira stood frozen by the sink. Ravi pulled the body to the floor. The reality of what they had done didn't sink in. Not yet. There was no turning back now. Could you ever justify killing for love? Comment below. Was Indira protecting her future or destroying it? And if you're drawn to stories that challenge the line between passion and morality, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. The silence after the murder was deafening. Indira stood motionless, staring at the lifeless body of the man she once called husband. Ravi wiped the sweat from his brow, his hands trembling. Reality began to crash into them like a tidal wave. Panic clawed at their throats. It wasn't just a secret anymore, it was a corpse. They had no plan for what came next. Ravi paced the room, muttering about how they couldn't leave him there. Someone will come looking, his family, the neighbors. We don't have much time. They wrapped Prakash's body in an old sari, tying it at the ends like a parcel. Blood had already begun to dry beneath his nostrils. Indira turned her face away, swallowing bile. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't afford a single sound. "We need help," Ravi whispered. That's when he called his cousin, Shandan, loyal, naive, and always eager to help. Ravi told him there was an emergency, that they needed to move something quickly and quietly. Shandan didn't ask many questions. In their village, blood ties ran deeper than reason. He arrived an hour later in a small delivery truck, the kind used to transport sugarcane and cement bags. The moment he saw the bundled sari, his eyes widened, but he said nothing. Denial is powerful when wrapped in family obligation. Ravi had a solution, crude but effective. There was an industrial drum abandoned near the old pesticide factory on the outskirts of the village. The drum was half filled with caustic chemicals, likely leftovers from a time the land was still in use. If they placed the body inside and sealed it, decomposition would be swift, and the chances of discovery minimal. In the dead of night, the three of them lifted Prakash's body into the back of the truck. Indira didn't speak. She couldn't. Every bump in the road felt like a scream inside her skull. Her fingernails dug into her palms, drawing blood, but she welcomed the pain. At the drainage site, surrounded by tall weeds and broken concrete, Ravi and Shandan hoisted the body into the drum. The smell was immediate. Acrid, metallic, unforgettable. Shandan gagged but didn't ask questions. Indira stayed in the truck, her eyes hollow. They sealed the lid tightly, rolled the drum into the murky ditch, and watched it vanish beneath the grime and sludge. For a brief moment it was over. The body was gone, the evidence buried. But the stench would return, not just from the drum, but from their consciences. And in villages like theirs, secrets don't stay hidden for long. 3 days after Prakash vanished, the village buzzed with rumors. His absence was more than unusual. It was alarming. He hadn't gone to work. His phone was unreachable. No one had seen him. His father, deeply unsettled, marched to the local police station and filed a missing persons report. "My son is gone. This isn't like him," he said, voice trembling. The police didn't take long to act. In small villages, a missing man, especially one with no known enemies, was a red flag. Officers began interviewing neighbors, family members, and co-workers. Many mentioned seeing Ravi at the house unusually often. Others whispered about tensions in the marriage. A few admitted hearing hushed arguments behind closed doors. But it wasn't until a foul smell was reported near the abandoned pesticide site that the investigation took a chilling turn. Police arrived at the drainage ditch and discovered the rusted industrial drum. When they pried it open, what they found inside was barely recognizable, but human remains, partially dissolved, left no room for doubt. An autopsy confirmed it. The body was Prakash's. Cause of death: strangulation. Not an accident, not suicide. Murder. The discovery ignited a storm. Investigators now turned their full attention to the house. They retrieved Indira's phone, digging into messages, call logs, and her location history. What they found painted a damning picture. Dozens of intimate messages between her and Ravi. Phrases like, "We can't let him ruin us," and "Soon it'll be just us," became the foundation of their theory. Ravi's call records only deepened suspicion. Frequent late-night communication with Indira, and, curiously, a series of calls to Chandan the night Prakash disappeared. A nearby traffic camera caught Chandan's delivery truck near the factory road during those same hours. It was enough. Police detained Indira first. During questioning, she denied everything, claimed she hadn't seen Prakash, insisted he must have run away. But as evidence piled up, her confidence cracked. When they confronted her with the phone logs, her expression shifted from denial to defeat. Ravi was picked up the same day from a nearby town, trying to lay low. Chandan was arrested the next morning. Each of them told a different story. Indira said she was manipulated, that Ravi convinced her Prakash was dangerous. Ravi insisted Indira wanted freedom, and that he only followed through to protect their love. Chandan, pale and wide-eyed, swore he didn't know what was in the bundle he helped carry. He thought it was stolen goods, or maybe a dead animal. But none of their stories matched, and the evidence didn't lie. What began as a missing persons case had now turned into a full-blown murder investigation, one fueled by jealousy, betrayal, and the illusion of love. And the courtroom would soon become the stage for their final reckoning. In the aftermath of Prakash's brutal murder, one question lingers. What drives someone to take such an irreversible step? Was Indira truly a victim, manipulated by a man she once trusted, forced to make an unimaginable choice in the name of love? Or did desperation, loneliness, and a desire for freedom push her over the edge, turning her into a cold-blooded killer? And what about Ravi? Was he a charming yet ruthless manipulator, preying on his sister-in-law's vulnerability for his own desires? Or was he also a man lost, caught in a spiral of passion and misguided loyalty, believing love justified every action, no matter how horrific? This story forces us to confront the darkest corners of human nature, the gray areas where love, betrayal, and morality collide. Can love ever truly justify murder? Can the desire for intimacy, connection, or even escape from an unfulfilling life be enough to warrant such an extreme outcome? As we reflect on this tragic tale, we must ask ourselves, where does the line between right and wrong truly lie? In the end, the tragedy of this case lies not just in the lives lost, but in the devastating consequences of choices made in the heat of passion.